They ruled empires, commanded armies, and shaped the lives of millions. Some were loved, others were feared. A few were both. But no matter how powerful they became, every one of them faced the same ending. In this countdown, we're uncovering how 15 famous world leaders really died, from ancient emperors to modern presidents, and how their final moments didn't just end lives, they changed history itself. Some deaths were sudden, some were brutal, and the final one on this list marked the collapse of one of the darkest regimes humanity has ever known. He held together one of the most fragile nations in Europe through sheer force of personality. Josip Broz Tito ruled Yugoslavia after World War II, balancing ethnic tensions that could have torn the country apart. In 1980, after years of declining health and multiple surgeries, Tito died quietly in a hospital bed. The irony came afterward. Without Tito, the unity he enforced collapsed, and within a decade, Yugoslavia descended into brutal civil wars that killed hundreds of thousands. He was one of the world's first democratically elected socialist presidents. Salvador Allende led Chile during the height of Cold War tension, facing fierce opposition at home and abroad. On September 11, 1973, the military stormed the presidential palace. Official reports say Allende died by suicide with a rifle as the coup succeeded, though debate still surrounds the exact circumstances. His death ended Chilean democracy and opened the door to Augusto Pinochet's brutal dictatorship. He came from one of the most powerful political families in India. Rajiv Gandhi served as prime minister during a period of modernization and unrest. In 1991, while campaigning at an election rally, a suicide bomber approached him and detonated explosives at point-blank range. The assassination shocked India and exposed how deeply political violence had become embedded in the country's modern history. He was shot, but the bullet didn't kill him. James A. Garfield became U.S. president in 1881, only to be shot by an assassin just months later. Doctors repeatedly probed his wound with unwashed hands and instruments, causing severe infections. Garfield died weeks later, making him less a victim of the gunman and more a victim of 19th-century medicine. She was India's first and only female prime minister. Indira Gandhi ruled with authority and controversy, especially after ordering Operation Blue Star against Sikh militants. In 1984, she was assassinated by her own Sikh bodyguards in retaliation. Her death triggered massive anti-Sikh riots across India, leaving scars that still haven't fully healed. He ruled Libya for more than 4 decades with absolute power. Muammar Gaddafi survived coups, sanctions, and international isolation until the Arab Spring reached Libya. In 2011, he was captured by rebels while fleeing and killed violently on the street. The strongman who once controlled everything died in chaos, and Libya descended into instability that continues today. He was born a king and died as a citizen. Louis XVI ruled France during a time of deep inequality and unrest. In 1793, after a revolutionary trial, he was publicly executed by guillotine. His death didn't just kill a man, it symbolized the end of absolute monarchy in France forever. He was one of the most popular presidents in American history. John F. Kennedy was assassinated in 1963 while riding in a motorcade through Dallas. Official investigations concluded a lone gunman fired the fatal shots, but unanswered questions sparked decades of conspiracy theories. His death stunned the world and permanently changed American politics and public trust. Nero ruled Rome with paranoia and cruelty. As rebellion closed in during 68 CE, Nero fled the city and realized he had no escape. Facing capture, he committed suicide, reportedly saying, "What an artist dies in me." His death ended the Julio-Claudian dynasty and plunged Rome into chaos. Stalin ruled the Soviet Union through fear, purges, and terror. In 1953, Stalin suffered a massive stroke in his private residence. Terrified aides delayed calling doctors, afraid of being accused of treason. The man who trusted no one may have been left to die by his own inner circle. Saddam Hussein ruled Iraq with brutality for decades. Captured in 2003, hiding in an underground hole, Saddam Hussein was later tried and sentenced to death. In 2006, he was hanged following a controversial trial. His execution marked the end of his regime, but not the violence that followed in Iraq. He conquered much of the known world before turning 33. Alexander the Great fell ill in Babylon after a banquet and died suddenly. The cause remains debated: fever, illness, or possible poisoning. Without him, his empire fractured almost immediately, reshaping history for centuries. He was adored by the people and feared by the elite. On the Ides of March 44 BCE, Julius Caesar was stabbed by a group of senators inside the theater of Pompeii. Legend remembers the words, "Et tu, Brutus?" His assassination triggered civil wars that destroyed the Roman Republic and gave birth to the Roman Empire. He led America through its bloodiest war. Abraham Lincoln preserved the Union and ended slavery, then paid the price. In 1865, he was shot by John Wilkes Booth while attending a play at Ford's Theater. His death altered Reconstruction and left the nation struggling with unresolved divisions. He ruled through ideology, terror, and genocide. As Soviet forces closed in on Berlin in 1945, Adolf Hitler retreated into his bunker. Rather than face capture, he committed suicide. His death marked the collapse of the Nazi regime and the end of one of the darkest chapters in human history. Empires rise, leaders dominate, history bends around powerful individuals. But every one of them ends the same way, vulnerable, mortal, and remembered not just for how they lived, but how they died. Which leader's death shocked you the most, and whose full story should we uncover next? Subscribe to Mask of History for more untold stories from history's darkest and most powerful corners.